Good morning, everyone. This Advent season, Pastor Megan and I are preaching on the theme of change. Advent is a time to look forward with anticipation to the good changes that Jesus will bring to our lives and to the world. At this time, the world around us is changing and landscapes are going bare. And the blending of these two families will mean changes, a lot of wonderful changes that I am super excited about. But some of the changes will be a little more uncomfortable. It may come with words of opposition. Today's harsh words from John the Baptist, you sneaky snakes out there. Today's harsh words from John the Baptist teach us that there is challenging change, and that change is accompanied by opposition. Sometimes people think that being able to meet biblical characters would be super cool, an amazing experience, and I'll give you that Jesus would be awesome, but there are some pretty intense and intimidating and complicated people in our Bible. Let's consider the prophets. The prophets railed against the injustice that they saw. They carried on about God's wrath and God's love in the same breath. Isaiah preached naked for 3 years. That would make Sunday awkward. Hosea intentionally married a prostitute to make a point and named his kid unloved. There's therapy in that kid's future. Amos was just an angry dude. And when he preached to people, he called them fat, lazy, selfish cows. I don't know how well that went over for him. These were not people I would look forward to inviting to my Christmas parties. Prophetic ministry is not the kind of ministry that I feel most called to, but John the Baptist saw himself as exactly this kind of minister, called to this important kind of work. And you probably would not like John if you met him. I don't know how far into the call process he would have made it here. John was oppositional, and in our reading for today, that was on full display. But here's the thing. Do we need Johns in our lives? Does our world need those uncomfortable prophets? Do we need those uncomfortable prophetic moments when someone we love and respect feels convicted enough to tell us about our unhelpful behavior, about our lack of helping out? We may not like it in the moment, but this is a kind of love that God puts into the world, puts into our friends for our own good. Some of my friends are part of a group called Decolonized Lutherans. Have you talked about that before? Decolonized Lutherans? Why would Lutheran churches need to be decolonized? Is there colonialism in Lutheran churches in LA like Bethlehem? These friends of mine contend that Lutheran churches carry and teach and preach right alongside the gospel message of Jesus that all are saved by the unconditional love of God, right along with the pure gospel we hand out white Northern European culture. When the major European powers set out to colonize the world, they also sent missionaries who not only taught Christ, but also a European way of looking at family and beauty and work and morals. Lutheranism is supposed to be a theological teaching on how the love of God works. I'm Lutheran because of how we talk about God's love. And our Lutheranness doesn't need to be tied to any kind of whiteness, European or otherwise. My decolonized Lutheran friends feel that our ELC has tied these two things together and has been tied together for a long, long time, and it's hard to see that or feel that unless you're brown. or gay, or struggling from paycheck to paycheck. One of these decolonized Lutheran friends of mine was invited by a few churches to LA to lead some workshops. And in one of the workshops, someone asked, so my church is predominantly white, but we want to reach out to our diverse neighborhood with love and welcome so that they can feel the amazing kind of love that I feel from my church. I want that for everybody. For everybody. How do we do this? And here's the response. You have to be able to have conflict and confrontation and make your way through frustrations and engage oppositional ideas and conversations. No one liked that answer. We here at Bethlehem are going to get into discussing evangelism and strategizing around it and experimenting with concrete ideas. We will have to discuss that our neighborhood is more diverse than our church. If you look at the schools in our area, which tells you what families around here are like, if you look at our scout troop, if you look at our preschool, you will see ethnic and language diversity, America's immigrant reality. Your pastor, your associate pastor, is a political refugee. You will see America's immigrant, diverse refugee reality on full display. We will have to discuss things like cultural competency training. And who's going to take it? Is it going to be the ushers, the council, our youth and parents, the various Bible studies? And I am absolutely prepared. I am absolutely prepared and compassionately and lovingly ready for opposition. We will all face opposition in this life. You can't get through this life perfect, and you can't get through this life without somebody pointing out your imperfection. They say that if a leader is not being opposed, they aren't leading. We will all face opposition. One of our youth right now is involved in a gay-straight alliance, trying to start one at their school as a student group. And this student group can make these young people coming into various understandings of their identity feel safe and supported. I want this youth to know that I am so proud of you. Bringing love and safety and friendship into our world, to the vulnerable that too many times get turned on by their own family sometimes. Loving these most vulnerable is a God-blessed work. Jesus went to those in his society that were marginalized, and Jesus went there and he ate and he taught and he healed and he loved. And whenever you see anybody hurting, it doesn't matter whether you agree with him or disagree with him, but whenever you love a hurting person, you are right there with Jesus. The unemployed, the lonely, you are right there. Jesus is by your side. But you will, in some way, this is my sad confrontation to this brave, amazing youth, you will in some way, at some point, in some conversation, be opposed in this beautiful work. But to that voice of opposition, hear my voice. I am so proud of you. We will all face opposition. But we need to distinguish between the loving, caring, strengthening opposition of friends who are earnestly wrestling with important ideas and may not be on the same page with you, friends who will change alongside you and help you change for the better, and opposition that's there to just tear you down. Not all opposition is the same. John and the prophets before him were our friends. Challenging friends sent by God to have conversations with us that we may not like and may not feel good when we're having it, but are for our good and are for the world's good. Not all opposition is the same. Not all critiques are from enemies. Some uncomfortable and frustrating conversations are necessary and important and are gifts from God that come to us through friends. Not there to hurt you. Not there to tear you down. But there to help. John the Baptist may not have been the most likable guy, but he's not our enemy. He's our friend. However, John the Baptist did have real and true enemies that killed him. We need to not see and treat all oppositions, all challenging conversations, all critical ideas, all chains as if they were an enemy that are going to hurt us. Not all uncomfortable conversations have to hurt. Not all of them will kill you. In fact, most won't. And most that we may have here, in fact, I'm going to bet all that we have here won't kill you. You'll make it through. We'll make it through. It may not feel good in the moment, but you can heal and forgive. You can have one way of looking at things, and your friend can have another, and you can still be good friends. And you might learn from your friend. And your friend may be right, or your friend may be partially right, or you and your friend might be totally off base, but if you just talk it out, maybe you'd get to a good place together. Don't automatically react to all opposition as if it were from an enemy, because some of it is from friends. Friends that are 3 pews behind you, right next to you, up front. Life is not always a feel-good experience, nor is love, nor is friendship. If what you get from a friend is pure joy, it's probably not a friend. It might be a drug dealer. It's a false kind of joy. And its benefits are so temporary and with dire consequences. That's not what real friends are like. Real friends can have real talk. Don't fear. Don't run away from all the hurt, because you'll be running away from too much of the good stuff of life, too much of the good stuff in you that this world needs. God calls some good people like us to run towards the pain of the world and not away from it. Pastor Megan and I are friends, and we are figuring out this new colleague thing of senior and associate, and it's going pretty well, I think, right? It depends on what I say next. And it can't go as well as it's been going without bravery and respect and listening and forgiveness and honest conversations. I am so thankful that she trusts me enough to have challenging, honest conversations and talk to me straight, like a friend. Like I really wanted to exemplify the baptism of John by shooting the kids with a water gun. But she said no. I'm going to trust her. I don't know. We'll never know how it would have gone. And we talk it out like friends. Because Megan only wants the good for me and for us. And I want the same, and I'm really sure that all of you are in the same place. We're friends who just want good for each other. And as we try to figure out what that good is, it won't be perfect the first time. And we can handle that imperfection. We can handle the experiments. We can handle the conversations about, like, maybe we try it this way. Maybe that idea that you were really earnest about didn't pan out. We can handle it, and we'll be just fine. We aren't enemies here. We're friends who can listen to each other and forgive and speak our minds and learn and change and get to the other side for the sake of love. For the sake of love. For the sake of love. May you be blessed in hearing this sermon, as I've been blessed preaching it, and hopefully living it with all of you. Amen.